for more people keep showing up, so I'll keep letting them in. But my name is Kevin Bruni. I'm the middle school athletic director here at Grand Rapids Christian. This is my ninth or tenth year as the middle school AD. I also work at the high school, so you'll see me at high school events. My 13th year at Grand Rapids Christian. And so just honored to be here, serve you guys, and serve the student athletes at our school. Um, and I want to talk to you a little bit today just about setting the stage for volleyball for this year. But before we do that, I'd like to start us with a word of prayer. So please join me. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with parents tonight and to talk about your school and your kids and how we can all work together to build opportunities that can put you on display in a positive way. We're grateful for Grand Rapids Christian. We're grateful for your influence on our lives, and we pray that we can be aligned in remembering that the way that you work through us is the most important part of all of our lives on a daily basis, especially as we do athletics. But we thank you for this chance to be here, and we pray that you be with the parents throughout this year, help them to be supportive and encouraging with their kids and with our coaches, and a good representation of you throughout all that we do as we participate in volleyball this fall. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, thank you so much again for being here. A couple of things. Philosophy of athletics at the middle school is participatory in nature, meaning we want everybody to play. There is no cuts, 5th through 8th grade. We see our volleyball program as a 5th through 12th grade program. It is not a middle school program or a 5th grade program. It is a 5 to 12 program. And so what we want is for kids to have the opportunity to play, to learn, to grow, to make mistakes, to improve, to gain clarity on if they actually like what it takes to be good at this sport of volleyball, and to keep moving forward. The coach's goal with that in mind is to help kids learn the game, to learn skills, to learn how to be on a team, the challenges that come along with that, to help them have fun, and most importantly, to help them learn about Christ through this common interest we all have in volleyball. And so that is what they're aiming towards. You'll notice in there, we didn't say that the goal is to win every match and put up a banner in our gym because we don't have any of those. We don't even have a trophy case here, actually. The goal is so much bigger than a 5th grade trophy or championship or a record. And so we're working on things that are so much more foundational and important. We're just using the sport of volleyball to teach those things. And so we hope that you can join us in that mission and that philosophy as we go. Our school is built on 3 C's: Christ, community, and commitment. And so Christ, we aim to learn about Christ through the sport of volleyball. So we all show up to do. We hope to honor him through the sport of volleyball. We hope to honor him in the challenges that we encounter, in the joys that we encounter, in the successes and failures. That is a huge and foundational part of Grand Rapids Christian. Second, community. We're better together, meaning what makes our school so great in so many areas of our school, but especially in athletics, is we don't fight each other. Parents don't fight coaches. Parents don't fight athletic directors. We partner. We realize things are going to be challenging, but we partner. We don't fight. And so that's super important that we're better together. And that also puts Christ on display in the right way. And finally, commitment. We want to be really committed to being our best at those first 2 things, and committed to in this sphere of influence, our ability to be committed to a team and to each other and to helping. And so Christ, community, and commitment runs through our school, but it also runs through our athletic programs, through our coaching, and through our parenting. And so that's our goal. And I want to make sure everybody's kind of aware of how athletics fits into that big part of our school. As far as volleyball program structure is concerned, I always like to remind people that we're coming from whatever your experiences is with volleyball. I don't know what it is. Some of you, it's nothing. Some of you, it's a lot of things already. And then we're eventually going to end up in high school, 9 to 12. Typically at a younger age, it's more, youth sport oriented. It's like everybody gets, equal everything. It's not a ton of commitment and those sorts of things. And then we get to high school where it's, a lot less kids are able to play. There's cuts. It's very competitive. We're trying to win. We're still trying to do Christ, community, commitment, but we're also really trying hard to win. And so we have these 2, the start and the end point. In the middle school, in so many ways, is the middle of that, where my job is to help you, the parent, and your child work from whatever your previous experience was up to what that experience in high school is going to be. So it's a stair step approach of how we're going to do that. So what does that mean? We're now in a competitive environment versus recreational. We keep records, we're trying to win, we play against other schools. There is tournaments, there are things for us to do, and it's competitive. It's competitive athletics. Our coaches are hired and supervised by me. And so they're not just volunteers. Sometimes we have volunteers, which is awesome, and we love them, and we bring them right in, and we need them. But mostly coaches are hired and supervised by me. We're in loud competitive environments, which is intimidating for kids who, if they've played even clubs, sometimes it's never really that loud. It's just a lot of volleyball chatter. But you get into some of these things and you got crowds cheering super loud. You got friends watching, like the pressures and all of that for parents and for kids are way different when it comes to competitive school-based athletics. And believe it or not, parents and fans lose their mind a little bit in those situations. Sometimes our kids break down a little bit in those situations. And sometimes our coaches feel that pressure for the first time as they're learning to coach in those sorts of situations. And it doesn't always go great. So just want to remind you, that's part of this growing process, something that we want to remember. Don't want you to be surprised about. It's inclusive in nature, but I also want you to know that as we step into competitive athletics, playing time is no longer equal. Okay. You shouldn't have an expectation that it will be equal. The league nor our school believes that's a thing that we're going to try to do. So what I know for sure, my son plays sports in the middle school. I want him to play with the best players on his team at the same time, because the best players make everybody a little better, right? We don't want any 30-30-30s, like playing the last 30 seconds of a game, or when you're down big or you're up big. In basketball, I say down 30 or up 30, that's when a kid gets in. We want kids to play meaningful opportunities, but for them to be able to have an opportunity at success, they have to play with the best players, which means the best players are on the court more often, right? It's just simply the way math goes, right? And so we have to remember that kids are not going to play equal. In 5th and 6th grade, it's going to be much more equal than it is in 7th and 8th. And in 7th and 8th, it's going to be much more equal than it is in high school, right? And so you just need to know that we're kind of on that trajectory as well, okay? There are minimum playing time rules that your coach will be aware of from the league, and we'll follow those. And we also try what I teach our coaches is we absolutely follow the minimum rules, but we try to beat those rules for every kid who shows up, does their best, and has a good attitude. So if your child is showing up to practice, showing up to games, having a good attitude, and trying their best, we want to beat those minimums so that it's not even a question whenever possible, okay? So that's our goal, and that's what I teach our coaches, but it will not be equal. Sometimes in your previous experiences, missing practice is kind of like, hey, coach, we just had a little thing happen. We're not going to be able to be there. And, I know with my kids in pure play, we do that a lot. Like, hey, it's just not going to work out tonight. Some things happen at the house and it's not going to happen. In competitive athletics, we need your child to be there, right? With starting that commitment as a family to honoring a schedule, right? Honoring a game schedule, honoring some of the sacrifice that comes with that. We don't ask for tons of time. 5th and 6th grade is only 3 days a week. 7th and 8th grade is only 4 days a week. So we're not taking a ton of time, but it is something we want to commit to and be at as much as humanly possible for the time that we're committed for these 8 weeks. Okay. 5th grade, total equal split when we do team formation. 6th grade, total equal split when we do team formation. 7th and 8th grade, we step up to 4 days a week. And we also step up into, because our school has so many kids, developmentally appropriate teams where kids can learn at their development level. And the coaches do a team formation week to figure out in those 2 grades who would be on like an A team and who might be a better fit on a B team, a little bit more of a learning curve versus kids that maybe have more experience coming in. And so we do this in academics all the time. We have advanced math and we have regular math and we have math that's trying to catch up, right? And so this is not an abnormal thing, but often in sports, we feel like we shouldn't do it, but it's an important part of our process as we move up the stair step approach. And so 8th grade has already started. 5th through 7th grade will start next week. And we want to make sure that you know that in this whole process, we want to partner with you. We don't want to fight you. We're all in this for the same reason. We can be aligned that we're in this for the things that I've already said. It's not about our victory as much as it is about all those other things. But at the same time, we want to take it seriously and work on that approach as we start to get kids more closer to those competitive athletic opportunities as they get older. And so that's kind of the structure of the program. 8th grade, we had our meeting last night, but 7th grade, you guys will start your team formation next week, and you'll have 3 days of that, and then you'll be placed on a team, and you'll have one more practice that week on Friday. And so if you're a 7th grade parent, you should plan on 3 team formation days and then Friday a practice. 5th and 6th grade, you'll have 3 days next week where you'll have team formation. And all 3 grades, once the team formation is done, you will get an email from your specific coach that they've been placed on a team now. And that coach is going to be the person you work with. All right. Moving forward. And I love all of you, but I can't respond to all of your questions. And so the first place you want to go with all of your questions about schedules and whatever other things you're wondering about is to your coach. So please work directly with your coach after you're placed on a team. You will get an initial email from your grade level that you're trying out at, whether it's 5th, 6th, or 7th, in the next day or two if you haven't received it already. Some of you may have already received that email, which is fantastic. Our coaches are working on that, and they're going to get that out before. And so that's great. Also, the other thing I want to mention about team formation is every once in a while, which seems odd, but every once in a while, we have a parent who, once the teams are made, they don't have as many friends on that team for their kid as they would have liked. And so they say, well, we're not going to play, or you need to switch the team because of X, Y, and Z. And I just need you to know, like, that's not really part of our process. It's hard to run a program if we do that. And so we want you to play. We want you to sign up and play. We're going to put you on a team. The coach is going to do their best. If you have something very particular that you need me to know as we build team formation, I'd like to know that. I can't necessarily guarantee we're going to honor that because our number one goal is to make teams equal so that we have the best opportunity to have a good season. But if we can consider some of those things, certainly don't hesitate to let your coach know about that during the formation process. But, you know, just make sure you understand, like, if you don't like the level your team's on, if you want to be an A player and now you're a B player, you can't quit because we can't run a program where that happens. And if you don't like your team, we can't have you quit. You know, we can't run a program when we're banking on you to be a player on that team and all of a sudden you're not going to play. So once you sign up, we need you to stick with it. Okay. A couple of things I want to let you in about coaching. So when I talk with our coaches, one of the huge things that I communicate with them is the importance of their communication to you. Okay. And so I want to tell you what that means. What that means is that every single week on Saturday, you're going to get an email from your coach through TeamSnap that gives you kind of a recap of the week. And then also a look ahead with your scheduled dates and times and drop-offs and pickups and all the things that you could plan on for the upcoming week. Every coach should be doing that. If that's not happening for you, you can let me know about that one. Okay, that's something I need to know about and get with coach on right away. Okay, you can also just request that coach send that before you come to me. You know, give coach a chance. But certainly, if it's continually not happening, I need to know. But you're going to get information from them every single week. On TeamSnap, you heard me mention TeamSnap. Those of you who have been with us before, you know about TeamSnap. TeamSnap is great. It's really good on communication. The coaches are going to put your schedule in there. So when you log in, you can click the schedule tab and you'll see the whole season's worth of practices. And the games will be right in there. There's maps attached to all of those things, so you know where to go. And the beauty of it is you get a reminder every single day if you have something that day, so that you remember there's something going on there. So the coach is going to communicate to you and the system is going to generate reminders for you. So you should be well communicated to in that process. Okay. The other thing So that's kind of coaches and communication. And that's something that's really big for me as I talk to them. The other thing I always remind coaches about is something that we've talked about before. We don't hang any banners. We don't have trophy cases. We want to serve kids, teach kids, love kids, help them enjoy the game. Like that is the number one goal that I have for my coaches is we help them enjoy the game more as we go through it and to do their best to do that. It's not going to be 100% success rate, but it's going to be as close as we can get. Okay, but that's the number one goal. We're going to try to win every game. Okay, don't get me wrong. We're going to try to win every game, but it's never going to be the priority over some of these other things. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you guys understand that too. We're certainly trying to win and we like to win, but we have to build foundations in the middle school that help us have a better springboard to our future, right? If we see just the trees instead of the forest, we're kind of missing the mark. A lot of the teams we're going to play this year, they're going to see the trees instead of the forest, and that's going to be frustrating for you. For example, on a fifth grade team, they're gonna be screaming, just hit it over, just hit it over, just hit it over. Because you know what happens if you just hit the ball over the net, you probably win more games. Okay. But what we're trying to figure out is our coaches are charting things like how many times we had 3 hits before we hit it over, even if we lose the point, because that's way more important for volleyball success and understanding the game than it is to just hit the ball over and win the game. Okay. So we're probably going to have things like that. And you're going to sit in the stands like, man, I wish we had just hit it over, or I wish they'd stop trying to serve overhand. Well, those are the ways that we get really good over time. And other teams might win in the moment, but we're seeing the forest, not the trees here. So we're trying to teach skills and teach these foundational ways to play the game because that gives you a higher ceiling and a higher floor someday. So just be with us as we're working on that. It's more important to do those things really well and be part of a team than it is to win that game by just hitting one hit over the net. Okay. So that's another thing I stress with our volleyball coaches. So let's talk about the coaches and how to work with them. Something I always like to just let people know about, whether you've been here before or not. You might chuckle when I go through some of these. But, one of the things that's super important is partnership. We talked about that. Coaches are hard to find. I spend a ton of my time and 4 seasons a year hiring a coach to serve your kids. Like I hired 41 coaches last year. Out of 67 or 68 teams, I had to hire 41 coaches. That's how hard coaches are to find and keep. I need you to love our coaches. They're learning. You expect a coach to love your child while they learn. I need you to love our coach while some of them are learning, right? And so that's super important as a baseline understanding is it's hard to find a coach. It's super hard to find a really good coach to coach middle school. Like we have Tiffany Gates and Kristen Danielson in our 8th grade volleyball staff. Tiffany Gates is a 4-time state championship coach. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. She coaches for us. It's amazing, right? We have Kristen Danielson who played for Tiffany, who played in college for 4 years and then coached college for 2 years and has been coaching kids because she likes kids. Okay. She doesn't necessarily like to have to win all the time. She just likes coaching kids and helping them love the game. She coaches for us for the last 5 years. So sometimes we do get these amazing people that can help us, but a lot of times we're going to get people that are A, trying to help us out, or B, they're trying to learn if this is something they want to do. Like they have this sense, this urge inside of them, probably from the Lord, that they want to give back. And man, if we don't want to kindle that spirit, just like your child has this sense in them that maybe they like volleyball. And I'm pleading with my coaches to kindle that spirit and help them enjoy it more. So I just need you to meet me there and be the me to them, like our coaches are trying to be to those kids. So start with trust. Point 1, start with trust. These coaches are giving up a ton of their time to take on 50 different variables and try to help your child. I don't coach in the fall. I've got a lot of things going on, so I really appreciate what these coaches do. Start with trust. A lot of us like to be skeptical about a person, or they're not this, or they're not that. Start with trust, okay? They all are giving up time to serve your child and to serve the Lord, and that's what they're here for. Second, that means give them the benefit of the doubt. So instead of expecting the worst, like maybe you had in a club situation or you had a bad coach before, or you're just in general maybe a little pessimistic about people. We ask that you would just in general give our coaches, give other kids on the team, give other parents you're sitting around the benefit of the doubt. Okay? Be a light in the world instead of a darkness in the world. Benefit of the doubt. Ask questions instead of making it. Everybody says this. All the kids say this. You know, those are hollow statements, but they hurt us as coaches when we hear you say them. And we don't need you to hurt our coaches in those things. Just ask questions. Try to gain deeper understanding. So start with trust. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Be respectful and ask questions. Okay. Third, we want great experiences, but I want to make sure that we define what a great experience is. A lot of people think the norm of society is that a great experience is where you get what you want, when you want it, how you want it, and you win. And that is not a great experience. You know who they never make movies about? Teams that have that happen. They make movies about the teams that have a great expectation. It doesn't go quite right. Another thing doesn't go right. They bond together. They find a way to improve. And it's this glorious moment of coming from this place to a new place to find some level of success, whether it's a championship or not. Not all the movies have that. But my point of it all is that the best experiences in our lives are not the ones where everything goes perfect. You're like, that was nice. But the best experiences are the thing where you had something that was tough, sour, challenging, where there was failure, where you thought you weren't going to make it. But somebody, whether it's you or a coach or a teammate, helped your child figure out or helped you figure out how to overcome that. That's what a great experience is. So great experiences involve the joy. They involve the sorrow. They involve success. They involve failure. They involve frustration. They involve things that come easy. They involve all of it. And my hope for you is that you can take that mentality in and say, give me some of all that, because all of that is good, right? And all of that is something I want my child to be able to understand how to manage this year. Okay. So great experiences are not just the good. The good is actually all of it. Okay. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is if people come to you about coach, I'm a believer biblically that if you got an issue, you should go to the person you got an issue with. But as we know in society, in the bleachers, in the hallways, in the lobbies, there's a lot of, did you hear about coach? She said, and it was like this, can you believe, right? And we have all these things where we start a conversation with somebody about somebody else, right? That is harming that person's reputation, and that person has no idea it's happening. So what I encourage you to do, if somebody comes up to you, first of all, don't be that person. But second, if somebody comes up to you with that tone, say to them, hey, you know, I hear you. What did coach say when you asked them about that? And what you're doing is just guiding them biblically back to the place where they should take that. Or what did your son or your daughter say about that? Oh, okay. And so then did you encourage them to talk to coach about that? What did coach say about that? And their answer is going to be that they haven't done that. And so it's a good way to just remind them how to steer them back biblically to the place where it should be and reduce our opportunity to gossip. Because when we do that, we're not given benefit of the doubt. We're not starting with trust, and we're struggling there. So please, if people come to you about coach, encourage them to manage that. And third, if you're going to approach coach about something, we want to do that in a very kind way. I can tell you as a coach for 20 years and over 30 seasons that when I get an email from a parent, I'm scared to death. I'm a veteran coach. I've won coach of the year multiple times. I'm a good coach. But when I get an email, I'm scared to death. When I get a text from a parent, I'm scared to death. Your power in what you are even about to say ever is the greatest fear of even the most veteran coaches that are out there. So when you are going to communicate with somebody, please know whatever small thing you think you're doing, you are putting a shot of adrenaline and lightning through a coach every time that you say something. And if you've coached, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And so as you're going to approach coach, there's a 24-hour rule. Every athletic department in the country has it. But that's for two reasons. One, as a coach, when a game ends or a situation ends, whether it was good, bad, challenging, devastating, my brain is going crazy. And so if you approach me about something serious in that moment, I'm probably not going to do a great job. Just going to be honest with you. And for you, You need to give yourself 24 hours because whatever just happened, whatever you were working up in your brain while all this was going on, and I do this too because my son plays sports and I watch from the stands. I don't coach him, and I got all these things going on in my head, but I have the discipline to remind myself not going to say anything. Okay, number one. Number two, I'm not going to say anything for 24 hours because I need to give myself as a fan, as a parent, time. You're not going to do your best in those moments either. And if we're going to put Christ on display in a positive way, we should honor each other by making sure that we're making the best choices possible by giving ourselves time. We all know when we wake up the next day, we feel different about a thing. We all know when we give it time, when we give it perspective, when we realize, is it really about my son or is it more about, or my daughter, or is it about me, the way I feel? So remember in those moments. The other thing I want to tell you is our school, because of the challenge of coaches and the reason coaches leave is because of parents. I'm just going to be honest with you. The reason I would ever quit golf is because the parents became unbearable. Has nothing to do with the kids, has nothing to do with the sport itself. It would have everything to do with the parents. And I'm not in a place where I want to quit because I love my parents. They're doing a great job with me, right? But that's why. And so, with that in mind, I want you to know like the easiest way to mess with a coach is to worry too much about playing time and strategy. What we want you to do is have the freedom to be a parent, which means you support your child. You're sad when they're sad. You're frustrated when they're frustrated with them. You're excited. You actually provide them encouragement when they're struggling, right? It's not about being right about a strategy or right about a play call or right about a lineup. It's about being effective and helping support your child and that team. They need you in those crazy gyms to be the voice of reason and kindness and support. What they don't need is for you to be coaching them from the stands because now they don't know who to listen to, right? Or they're worried about disappointing you and they forget about their team or whatever it might be. And they also don't need you to talk to coach about playing time and strategy. Your lane as a parent is to support kids and support coaches. A coach's lane is to develop playing time and strategy. If you are hired to be a coach, then you get to decide about playing time and strategy. If you are not hired as a coach, then you get to be a supporter. Those lanes don't cross. Long pause for effect. Those lanes don't cross. It's good for you. It's good for coach. It's good for you. It's good for your kid. Leave those things where they need to be. This happens in our high school level and it happens in our middle school. We got to just keep focusing on being different than every other school out there because the secret sauce to great programs and great schools is partnership, not fight, right? And so we just got to remember that. So be thoughtful about if you're going to approach coach about something. You want to help them understand your kid, do it. Right? You want to provide something for coach, like bring him a coffee, bring Gatorades for the team. Approach coach, see if you can help with that stuff, please. But please make sure you keep those other lanes separate. Okay. Finally, as a spectator, you're going to have to pay a fee when you go to gyms. Okay, so $3 for an adult. Kids that you bring with you are free, and senior citizens or grandparents are $2 each. Okay, so there is a fee. Now, what I want you to do is when you come to play at our place, smile when you pay because that money goes directly to our program. You'll notice I never ask you for fundraising. I never ask you to write me a check for things that I need money for uniforms. Like none of that ever comes from me because what I do is I steward the money. I host extra events at our gym more than any other school in our entire league, which is a burden on me and my family. But we do that to gain more dollars so that I never have to ask you for money. So when you come to pay that fee, just smile, pay the fee, and know that we're using that to get uniforms, equipment. We have the best equipment, the best facilities in the league. And that's because you guys smile when you pay that fee, and it goes right to the good things that we need to build our program. And so that's kind of what that fee's about. When you go to the other school, be nice, but don't be as joyful about paying because I don't get that money. So it doesn't matter to me. Okay. But anyway, that's kind of the fee. When you're at these events, it is my dream. It is my hope and it is the thing that I hope most is that when people see that Grand Rapids Christian is coming to their gym, they're excited because those parents are kind. Those parents are supportive. Those parents don't fight with the refs. They don't fight with other people. They don't yell at their kids, right? They're the people that support kids and make us feel good. So that is my dream. Like we get a lot of compliments on our fans, our coaches, and our kids' conduct. We do. I get a lot of them. And I thank you for that, right? And I thank our coaches for that. And so please make sure that your conduct, whether you're here or there, is something that, you know, the Lord would be very proud of, and that we're honored to say we're Grand Rapids Christian and we behave this way. When it comes to officials, I need you to expect that the officials will not be very good. Okay. Middle school athletics is where we have an official shortage in America, and middle school athletics is where people are learning to be officials. So like usually you get like a veteran with a new person, and the new person is having to make all the calls because they're trying to learn and the veteran's trying to help them, but they're probably not very good at making calls. So what we want to do to keep people officiating is to support them. So if they are really terrible, you can say nothing. Like my mom always told me, if you got nothing good to say, don't say it at all. All right. And maybe you never said that, but she always said that to me. Or you can say to them, thank you for officiating today. We're so glad we got to have a match. Just force yourself to say something positive. Be neutral or encouraging. Be thankful. When it comes to officials, don't take a cue from the other schools. Take a cue from putting Christ on display, and honor those people for what they're learning to do as well. And honor the older officials for trying to train the younger, right? We need the next generation to come through. We're not going to have games, okay? So be neutral and encouraging, great conduct as fans. There's nothing I like more that warms my heart than a principal from a school says, we had your team here and your coach behaved great. Your players were fantastic and your fans treated everybody so well. I get those every year, and nothing makes me feel better about Grand Rapids Christian when I get something like that. And the last thing I want to remind you is have fun, okay? Don't worry about winning all the time. Worry about having fun. When you have fun, you typically win more. Whether you won on the scoreboard or not, you win more. Okay. So have fun. Remember, your kid isn't going to play sports forever. Some of them might not even play in high school. You want to be able to look back at this time and say, I had fun. I was a positive influence, and my child had fun because of it. And it was a great time for me. I want you to be able to say that you had a lot of fun being a parent, being a fan, and enjoying yourself for the right reasons. And so please do that. And second, as you have that car ride home with your kids, love your child in that moment. Don't overcoach them. Give them some time to decompress. Tell them you were glad you got to watch them play today, and tell them what fun it is for you to follow them around and watch some of these games. You know, and how fun it is to watch them interacting with their teammates and that sort of thing, and how proud you were in this tough moment that they, you know, had good poise to get through that. You know, like things like that, that you can be proud of saying will help you have fun. And man, if we want kids to have fun, we adults got to have a lot of fun. So let's make sure we're doing that as you go. So that's what I have for you tonight. We're done in about right at the amount of time, about 3 minutes over. So I apologize for that. But if there's any questions, you can type them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask me. Most teams are going to practice at Grand Rapids Christian Middle School. Some teams will have to practice at Iroquois because we don't have enough gym space. But practice times are typically 3 to 5, or 5 to 6:30, or 6:30 to 8. Those are the times. Your coach will be sending you something in the next day or two, if they haven't already, about how to get started and what to expect for next week as volleyball begins. Okay. If you have any questions, please unmute and ask them. Otherwise, you can type something in the chat, or you can leave. Thank you for being here tonight and helping us get started on a good note. Practice times, Jen, are there's slots. We could have 2 teams practicing at a time on each given day, but typically 3 to 5, 5 to 6:30, or 6:30 to 8. If you have some information you need a coach to know about your family or something about those times, please, when your coach emails you, just email them back and let them know what that is, okay? there's any other questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much.